Sorry, you first. Stop copying me! Ow, funny bone. I will call you number 2.
Definitely not.
You know a name I've always wanted?
Tyrone? Okay, Tyrone, let's get down to business.
I'm thinking you cover me at the ticket stand while I ask Wendy to dance. I know the plan, buddy. Hey, we're not gonna get jealous and turn on each other like the clones in the movies, are we?
Dipper, please. This is you you're talking about. Plus, hey,
You can always just disintegrate me with water.
yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pining for the Falls, the podcast where everybody gets a clone. Everybody. I'm Fire Princess Lily, and I'm joined, as always, by your friend and mine, Dr. Sea Monster. How you doing, Doc?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good right now, yeah.
Great. If you haven't joined us before, this is the podcast where we are rewatching all of Gravity Falls and talking about each episode individually as we go through. And yeah, that's what we're doing. It's a pretty good time. What have you been up to, Doc, since we last recorded? Because we did take last week off.
Let's see. I've tried to stay busy. Did I tell you that I finished Steven Universe?
You did tell me that you finished Steven Universe. However, there's somebody in the room with me right now who has not finished Steven Universe, so we really cannot talk about it.
That's fine. Let's see. I decided to try out streaming, or streaming myself playing a game. It was a fun experiment.
Oh, nice. How'd it go?
Got a few friends to watch. It was nice to just kind of... It's a game I've played through a lot, like, times.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one of my favorite video games ever. Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, which is like the second Game Boy Advance Castlevania.
Oh, neat. Very cool.
It's like... It's Aria of Sorrow is when the, like, Metroidvania style really, like, had sunk in.
Right.
So... I think it's definitely a high point for the series because I the heck out of that game, and as much as I've played it and replayed it, I have never really gotten tired of it, and that's hard to do with a video game.
Right, of course. Anything else?
Up on Harley Quinn. All caught up on Harley Quinn?
Yeah, I'm all caught up on Harley Quinn.
That episode was real good. It's like, it's almost like the framing story is about Harley meeting Joker. Like the meat of the episode is all about her interactions with Harley, or her interactions with Ivy, and when they first met.
I mean, kinda. I don't know. I don't trust them. Just gonna say it. I do not trust them.
I know. I understand. I remember the first time I got burned by.
Oh, I've been burned more than once.
No, but I'm saying I remember the first time. It was Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040, which is a really good anime. But you don't know Bubblegum Crisis is a franchise. It's mostly female cast, and they like wear mech suits and fight killer robots. It's great franchise. 2040 is like the remake of the original series. Really good show. Being a show with a mostly female cast, it's all about like complex relationships between characters, and that was really good. It was like the first time I'd seen something like this. Besides like Xena, and liked the way the characters are acted. There is some. And there's a couple canonically queer characters in the show, but the relationship between the two main characters was really the crux of the entire series. About halfway through, gets shelved, or connection between one of the protagonists and a male character, and their relationship becomes like the main romantic relationship. Even though the second character's relationship, okay, this even though the relationship between the two women is still like the emotional core of the series, like them just gets a male love interest, and that just continues on through the end of the series, and it's just kind of weird.
Well,
like,
that's how it goes.
That was like back in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
2002, and like I've been wary of that happening. I've seen it happen many times since. It's like I've been aware of this whole cliche. It's a big cliche at this point.
Yeah, it really is. So, I don't expect them to follow through on their promises. It will not surprise me, and I will still be mad about it. So, just how that goes. That's life. Been promised a lot of things by TV producers. So,
listen,
what's one more broken promise?
Listen, I prefer to think of the U-Haul trailer as half full.
Nice joke. Anything else going on?
Really? Had let's see, some more JoJo. The most recent series. It's pretty good. I really like the characters and the character dynamics. I don't really have a fully formed opinion on it. Only like a third of the way through the series at this point. Right ahead in the manga for Hero, so I'm all caught up with that. Great series. Only caved in and got Animal Crossing. My partner got it from me as a birthday gift, so I'm going to be joining the cultural zeitgeist of playing Animal Crossing on my Switch.
Oh, nice. That is one of the games that I haven't really gotten into, to be honest.
I'm looking forward to it because I've never played an Animal Crossing game before. Well, no, I had the 3DS one and I played it a little bit, but I had a Harvest Moon game. I really liked Harvest Moon on the PS1, and this seems to have a lot of overlap with that sort of similar thing, where it's like based on like you building up your area and like remodeling it and interactions with like the NPCs. So I'm looking forward to giving it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I was opposed to it. I just wasn't like I had like things I wanted to do before I started a deep that. Deep in terms of like time investment, like
right.
Emotional. That's really it. Starting to reopen some things in hometown.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Denny's was open a couple days ago. Oh man, just want to go to Denny's. Want to like find 2 or 3 friends and just sit down in a Denny's for like 3 hours.
I mean, I wouldn't, but
I know I'm not going to, but I really want to.
Yeah, I get the feeling. I want to go places, do things, but it's just it's cannot right do it right now. It's not the right time. So, as for me, what have I been doing? Work mostly. Playing Persona 5 Royale, which I realized that I made a mistake. I made a mistake in this game because generally when I've played Persona 5, so Persona 5 Royale is of course just really the same game with some extra stuff added, but including a new character, a new dateable character, and I was like, I am going to date this new character, but you can't start doing that until like the very last third of this game. So I've made the mistake of like putting myself into that corner because I thought for sure that I would like have access to this character much sooner, and no, it's just not what happened. So that's my own fault. I've also been, of course, watching wrestling, and let me tell you, there is some stuff happening in wrestling, and I've got theories. I got big theories. And I know that nobody really tunes in for this podcast to listen to me talk about wrestling. It's too bad.
Yeah, but it's
I'm
part of
the
our brand
host.
now. Part of our brand.
Yeah. So, I think, here's my big theory, and I hope everybody's ready to strap in for a second. I think that Mr. Brody Lee, formerly Luke Harper in the WWE, now Brody Lee in AEW, has been possessed by Sister Abigail. Which, if that sentence didn't make any sense to you, don't worry. I'm explaining it. So, do you know who Bray Wyatt is?
I do, yes.
Okay.
I was following a wrestling cap YouTube. Martin Blarney, who's Little Karibo, the guy who did Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge. For a while, he had a show on YouTube called The Mark Remark, and it was a wrestling recap show.
Nice.
So for about a year and a half, while he was doing that, I was picking up rests of, in general, what was happening in wrestling. Before that, I used to watch Noah Antweiler, Spoonie, when he was doing like wrestling recaps. Like I have got like third-hand knowledge of wrestling from a couple different eras.
All right, so you know that before Bray Wyatt came up with his Fiend character, he was just Bray Wyatt, head of the Wyatt family.
We've talked about this.
Okay.
We actually talked about specifically Bray Wyatt and Sister Abigail before.
All right. So in 2015, Bray Wyatt, the character, has absorbed the souls of both The Undertaker and Kane. He can call thunder, he can call lightning, he can call fire, and he proves it all in the ring. Like, it's, like, as far as, like, characters go, it's pretty cool, in my opinion. Matt Hardy, who is doing his Woken gimmick, which is a WWE version of his Broken gimmick that he came up with, because WWE has to own everything that's, on their screen.
Okay, so what does broken mean in this context?
Okay, so in TNA, which stood for Total Nonstop Action, it was a wrestling brand. Or I think actually maybe he made it an Impact, but anyway, regular Matt Hardy, was realizing that he and his brother had put themselves through just a lot on their bodies, being like known for like having popularized ladders, tables, and chair matches. Like when you think of ladders, tables, and chair matches as a wrestling fan, if you've watched wrestling, for a long time, like in the 90s and early 2000s, you automatically think of the match between the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys, because it was like such a like it's just such a staple of that kind of match. Like, it's what really got those matches going.
This is the Attitude Era, right?
Yeah, that's the Attitude Era. But Matt Hardy is like, man, I'm banged up. I'm banged up pretty bad. And I can't, we can't keep doing that to ourselves, because there's no exit plan for wrestling. Like, you go into wrestling, everything's cool, they're gonna, like, you're gonna get all this money and whatever. And if you, like, save it, invest it, or whatever really well, you're gonna be okay. But, I mean, there's nothing for you after wrestling, other than, I guess, like, doing signings and stuff, because there's no retirement plan. So, whatever money you get out of wrestling, whatever money you have at the end of it, that's the money you have. There's no 401ks, there's no... there's nothing. You can't, nothing. I don't even know. I think like, you could maybe apply for Social Security if you live that long, because wrestlers die really young.
That's the retirement plan for wrestlers, dying young.
Yeah. So he comes up.
Unsolved wrestling. That's just
Yeah.
just the way the system.
So Matt Hardy comes up with what he calls the broken universe. He is possessed, not possessed, but a spirit called Zenith inhabits his vessel, and it makes him a supernatural being. It was first awoken by the Young Bucks when they gave him a super kick party to the face, which is a double super kick to the face. Super kicks happen to the face, so I'm just being redundant. Anyway, and that's where the broken universe comes in. He, of course, now he's Damascus. He's no longer Zenith because Zenith died, which we'll get into here in a bit in my theory. But yeah, so that's what I mean by broken. It's like this whole character that Matt has going on that's like this super extra-dimensional being. Because wrestling, while mostly grounded in reality, does have characters that... One second. Does have characters that have supernatural qualities, such as like The Undertaker and Kane. The Undertaker, is, you know, when he was the dead man, could like get up from like anything, summon lightning, summon, you know, all kinds of stuff, bring people back from the dead.
Undertaker was like a lich or something.
Yeah. And Kane was like a beast from hell. So, you know, that was literally the character. So, you know, supernatural beings in wrestling, not unheard of. So yeah. So Matt Hardy, getting back to Bray Wyatt, who is now calling himself the Eater of Worlds because he's absorbed the souls of Kane and the Undertaker. Matt Hardy, being woken, has decided that Bray must be stopped, and has challenged Bray to come to the Hardy compound to face him in the Ultimate Deletion, which is a thing in the Broken Universe, deleting and whatnot. Broken Matt Hardy was born in the Lake of Reincarnation, which is on the Hardy compound. It's a whole thing. Like, I could devote an entire episode of a podcast to explaining Broken Matt Hardy. There's just so much to go with it. But Bray Wyatt decides that Matt Hardy and Zenith are the light to his dark. So it's only the only logical step now is to take out Matt Hardy and absorb his soul and gain the powers of the broken universe. Like, that's his plan. So he accepts the fight to go to the Ultimate Deletion at the Hardy compound. Now, long story short on the fight, Matt Hardy wins, and he throws Bray Wyatt into the Lake of Reincarnation, and Bray Wyatt disappears. He's been deleted. He does reappear later at the Andre the Giant Wrestling Classic Battle Royale, and saves Matt Hardy from being eliminated. Like, Matt Hardy wins it through Bray Wyatt's help, because Bray Wyatt is still around, but Sister Abigail has been cleansed from him, and she's trapped in the Lake of Reincarnation. Fast forward to this year, 2020. Matt Hardy is, you know, not going to re-sign with WWE. Like, Matt Hardy the person, he has plans to go somewhere else because he wants to do his broken gimmick. He's worked so hard on it, and he's put so much time and effort into it, and he doesn't want to be, you know, the tables, ladders, and chairs guy that WWE wants. That's what they want from him, because, you know, once you're something in the WWE, you're always that thing in the WWE. Like, that's your gimmick forever, because they came up with it, they love it, they own it. So Matt releases a series called Free the Delete on YouTube while his contract is winding down. And so in episode 4 of Free the Delete, he's trying to figure out how to retain his broken brilliance. And he hears a voice tell him that he needs to build a reservoir and use the water from the Lake of Reincarnation. And so he does. It's a swimming pool. He builds a swimming pool and fills it, quote unquote, with the water from the Lake of Reincarnation. He has a friend help him with the water transferal. And when his friend's not paying attention, he scoops up some water, and we can hear a woman's voice from the bucket say, "Let me in," which has always been Bray Wyatt's catchphrase, started by Sister Abigail. He still uses it as the Fiend, but it definitely shows that, we've scooped Sister Abigail from the Lake of Reincarnation, and we're putting it into the reservoir without knowing about it because we didn't pay attention. Because Matt is in such a hurry to become broken again. So Matt jumps into the reservoir. After a couple of attempts, he does retain his broken brilliance. He becomes Zenith once more, but something's wrong. He feels like his essence has been poisoned. There's an abomination within him that is trying to take over and is killing Zenith. After a few more episodes, he calls upon the Young Bucks, who first released his broken brilliance so far back, and he's like, "You gotta save me. You're the first ones who did it. Zenith is dying." And they do give him the super kick party, and he falls into a casket and is buried alive. He gives them his thanks as they bury him alive, and we're left to wonder who's going to emerge. Will it be Matt Hardy or will it be the Abomination? A couple days later, Matt Hardy emerges as Damascus, which is his current essence in his broken body. And that's who Matt Hardy is now. He's Damascus, he's broken. The Abomination is nowhere to be seen. Except for a few weeks ago, Matt Hardy on Twitter tweeted that he thought that the Abomination escaped him and transferred into Brody Lee. Brody Lee used to be Luke Harper. Luke Harper was a part of the Wyatt family. So, bringing all of this together, I think the Abomination that is possessing Brody Lee, who is now head of the Dark Order, another cult like the Wyatt family, I think it's Sister Abigail. And I think the proof of that is not only the Matt's tweet, but a couple weeks ago on a Road to Dynamite, two members of the Dark Order, Alex Reynolds and John Silver, came to an old wooden house somewhere deep in the woods and was talking to it like, we're gonna prove ourselves. We're ready to start. We'll stop losing, start winning. We want to prove that we're worthy of being in the Dark Order. And who emerges from the house? It's Brody Lee. Brody Lee, who's wearing suits and ties and talking super proper, is living in some old wooden house, like deep in the woods. You know who else lived in a old wooden house deep in the woods that was falling apart? Bray Wyatt, when he was head of the Wyatt family. And so I think that is like not necessarily the final piece of my jigsaw puzzle theory, but I think it's a very important piece. That I think if I'm paying attention right, I think he is possessed by Sister Abigail. Which they're probably not going to be able to say Sister Abigail on AEW, right? But they can allude to it. Absolutely. They've alluded to WWE stuff with Brody Lee a lot. So that's it. That's the theory, everybody. So thanks for joining our wrestling podcast today. That took forever. You all right?
Hey, one of these days I'm just going to go off on like Magic the Gathering lore. And
yeah.
It's not going to be relevant to anything, but I'm just going to do it for fun, just to balance this out.
I mean, so if you talk about anything before, they left Demaria, I'm gonna be on it. I'll be fine.
Where?
Demaria, the main plane.
What area?
Demaria, yeah. I mean, that might not be how you're supposed to pronounce it, but that's the original plane that Magic the Gathering took place on, with Urza and Mishra, the Brothers' War, blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so originally, the core plane of Magic the Gathering was called Minia. But
That's not
changed this Dominaria. Dominia became like the name for the multiverse. The multiverse is called Dominia. The current lore.
You know that image of Fry with his eyes squinty? That's what I'm doing right now. Because that is literally what the plane that Urza, Mishra, the Thran War, the Brothers' War, all that took place was called Domeria. And I know that, like, deep in my head, because one of Daragazi's cards, as he's like releasing some kind of poison, I believe it's a black card. It's like called Daragazi's Breath. He says, "Breathe deep, Domeria. Breathe deep and die." So,
Okay.
unless they change it.
Bring me, and I don't. You're giving me so much nerd pain. It feels bad.
Am I
Killing
wrong?
my planeswalker Spark Lily.
Does his card not say that? Is that not his quote on that card?
It is a quote on a card. There's a quote,
And it's from Daragazi.
different character on a different card.
It is not. Okay. Hold on. Okay, it is a different card. Flip. I am wrong. Okay, but look. It is a quote on the card from those earlier sets. I want to say it was an invasion card. I'm probably wrong.
Plague Spores is a card from the set Invasion, and the storyline of Invasion, the Phyrexians, which are death metal cultists, cyborg robots. And they're favorite villains in the game, and they have super cool lore, but
yeah,
not getting into that right now. We're not getting into the Phyrexians.
Sabako Tavok who said it. That's my bad.
Who is a cyborg spider lady.
Yes. But they come from the plane of Phyrexia, and they were going to where? Domeria.
An area. I will. Yeah, but I'm going to link with the card.
No, I just looked up the card.
Dominaria.
Okay, I realize I'm pronouncing it wrong. Dominaria.
I'm not trying to be weird. It's just.
That's fine.
Anyway, hey Lily.
Yeah.
Talk about Gravity Falls.
Let's talk about Gravity Falls. We watched episode 7 of Gravity Falls, Double Dipper, and this episode is a treat.
I really like this episode. This is actually one of the first 2 episodes that I saw, and a friend of mine got me to watch Gravity Falls. It was this one and the next one. So we got an episode that was really good for Dipper and an episode that was really good for Mabel.
Yeah.
So I got a really good introduction to the series.
Oh, the next episode is probably one of my favorite episodes of all time. Oh my god.
It's all fantastic.
Goodness. So let's get into this. We open up on Zeus decorating the Mystery Shack. Everybody's like making balloons and stuff, and the twins are sitting on a couch. And Dipper's like, "Oh, Mabel, I don't feel so good." And he does a puking noise as he sprays her with silly string, which leads Mabel to do basically the same. It's really good. She's like, "Grunkle, say would you feed us?" They just have a crazy silly string fight where they're sick, quote unquote. To which Wendy comes up and she does the exact same thing to them. It's pretty good. But it upsets Stan because they're wasting party supplies, so he confiscates them. Because this is all for the party that he's planning. Because it's time to scam the kids. He scammed the adults. It's time to, get kids to spend money at the Mystery Shack. And he has a pin the tail on the dog key game. Which, sure. Okay. The twins are drinking Diet Pit when Stan gives them the job of copying some flyers, and they're like, "Oh man, we get to go to the copy store," which Zeus says, "Counters, mugs, t-shirts, and more. You can get it all at the copier store." That's not their slogan. I just really feel that way about the copier store.
As usual, Zeus is great.
Zeus is great. Stan is like, you don't have to go to the copier store. I finally fixed up that old copier in my office. And we get a look at this copier, and woof. It is held together with rope and tape. It's bad. It's in bad shape. But it does work as Dipper lays his arm on it, and a picture of his arm prints out after the copy machine releases a bunch of smoke. However, the arm comes to life, which freaks them out, of course, as it crawls to them. Dipper throws Mabel's cup of Diet Pit on the arm, and it melts away. And Dipper's like, "Oh my god, Mabel, this copier can copy human beings." Gasp. And then Mabel sprays him with more silly string, making the barf noise.
As usual, Mabel is great.
Mabel is great. So now Stan's like, "All right, everybody, you gotta get jobs." He's like, "All right." He actually says, "All right, party people," and Dipper. It's like, "You're gonna assign you some jobs, Zeus, because you said you do it for free and you begged me. I'm gonna let you DJ." And Zeus is overexcited. He's like, "Yes, I got a book on how to DJ right." Because Zeus is the best. Which Grunkle's dad's like, "Oh, this is gonna be bad."
That doesn't. He said something along the lines of "does not give me confidence" or something like that.
He's like, "This does not inspire confidence," or something like that. He assigns Mabel and Wendy to work the ticket stand, and Mabel is like, "Oh, come on! This is my only time in this whole episode in this whole series I'm gonna have to maybe make friends. Can I please just go to the party?" And Dipper's like, I could work the ticket stand with Wendy, of course, because he has a big crush on Wendy." It's weird. And Grunkle Stan's like, "Are you sure? You realize when you sign up to do this, you're committing to be there all night with Wendy. No backing out of it. You gotta be there all night with Wendy." And Dipper's like, "I think I can handle it. Of course." We cut to the twins' bedroom, where Dipper's getting ready with a bow tie. He's trying to look dapper. Mabel appears, and she's like, "Oh, that was real smooth, dude. I could work the counter with you, Wendy." Because she knows that he likes her, and if it's her job as his twin to make fun of him, because that's a sibling dynamic. Dipper's like, "You know what? It's fine to make fun of me, but I have devised a plan, and everything's going to go perfectly." And Mabel's like, "You didn't. You did not make one of those complicated lists that you always make." To which Dipper says, "Overcomplicated? No." And then he pulls out what looks like a 15 or 20 step plan. It's as big as he is.
It's 20 steps. There's a scene of him unfolding that lasts a solid 30 seconds. Of him just continuing to unfold it until it's big. It's as long as he is tall.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mabel's like, this sounds like a dumb plan for poo brains or something kind of like close to that. And Dipper's like, okay, look, I can't do banter and stuff. I'm not good at that. But if I follow the plan, then the final step, I get to ask her to dance because this is going to go perfectly. We get a fantasy in Dipper's head where he's as tall as Wendy, which is weird. And he's dancing with her, and Wendy's like, "Oh, Dipper, I didn't know you were so organized." And she's like totally into him and wants to see the checklist again. And somehow the checklist is still just as big as he is. Like, it's so weird.
This is Gamagori.
Yeah. He's like, if I could just follow steps 1 through 11, nothing will get in my way. And Mabel's like, or you could just be a normal person and talk to her like a normal person. And Dipper's like, that's step 9. Duh.
Which is a great gag. That's probably one of my favorite gags in the episode.
We cut to the party. It's Gruggle Stan is dressed in his best 70s attire. Mabel is dressed in her best 80s attire, so you know. But the party's pumping. Zeus is doing his best to DJ. It's not great. But Gruggle Stan's like, yeah, I'm charging like $6 to get in and $15 to get out. To which we cut to a scene of the two of the teenagers from the convenience store episode going, we've only got 13. We're trapped. It's really good. They're beating on the windows like, let us out. We cut to Dipper and Wendy working the ticket booth. Dipper's going over his plan for casual banter. And he's like, oh, so here's a casual question. What's your favorite type of snack food? And Wendy's like, oh, I can't just pick one. And Dipper's like, oh, no way, mine too. Which, like, good job. Good job, guy. He gets frustrated because she's like, what? I didn't even say anything. But we cut back to Mabel. She is just having a great time dancing, you know, being a party animal, doing what Mabel does best. And she meets her 2 friends for the whole series, which is Grinda and Candy, which they're some of my favorite characters in the show, to be honest. I mean, I like all the characters. And
Grinda and Candy are great, and they both play off of each other and off of Mabel really well.
They do. And if we're talking about like ships, Candy and Dipper I thought worked really well, and I really kind of wanted that to go someplace. Spoilers, it does not. But you know, that's Dipper's fault. So we cut to Zeus saying, hey, whoever parties the best gets the party crown at the end of the night by, you know, whoever gets the most applause. And Mabel's like, oh, I've got to get that. But we get an introduction to Pacifica Northwest. And she's like, I'll just take the party crown now. It's mine anyway. Blah. Because she knows that she's the most popular girl and that she's going to win. Zeus is like, I can't just give you the crown. You gotta win it. Glinda and Candy both say that Pacifica makes them feel bad about themselves just by being around her, which Mabel doesn't take very kindly to. But Zeus is like, you gotta win it in competition, and Pacifica's like, who's gonna compete against me? Is it gonna be Fork Girl or Lizard Lady? Because Glinda has her iguana with her. And so Mabel's like, you know what? I'll take you on. I'm gonna do it. Because, screw you. But she doesn't quite say screw you. She's like, I'm Mabel. And Pacifica says, that sounds like an old lady's name, and walks away. So,
I really like Pacifica. The character. She's a really good foil for Mabel.
Mm-hmm.
And she ends up, like, she's like characters to be counterpoints of each other. I think like it really works. They have a good dynamic of that. And
are you sure you're not just the bread guy? Oh, you got that.
I've got a story for after the plot.
Have you had interactions with the bread guy?
Oh, but let's just say the internet has a rainbow of bread guys.
Oh goodness.
I will. This is an after hours Doc and Lily conversation.
Well, this podcast
Anyway,
is not for children.
No, I do really like Pacifica. Like I said, she's a good counterpoint to Mabel. They bounce off of each other really well. And I think she has an interesting character arc over the series.
Yeah, over the series, absolutely.
Man, when she's introduced here, she's a huge bitch.
She is. She's the heel.
Yeah, she's a great heel for
Mabel.
Mabel.
But Mabel's like, it was nice meeting you. And as Pacifica walks away, she's like, she's going down. So we cut back to the stand, and Wendy's like, oh man, it sounds so cool in there. I gotta get in. Will you cover for me? Thanks. And she just bounces into the party. And Dipper's like, dang, this ruins my plan. So he tries to close the ticket booth so that he can, go in the party for a few minutes. And Stan is right there. He's like, come on, nuh-uh. Those suckers are going to rip themselves off. Which one of them says, yeah. Like, no. Come on, guys. Have some self-respect. And Stan's like, come on, you promised, remember? And Dipper's like, I did. To which Stan plays a recording of Dipper back saying, I promise. It's really good. So Dipper's left to work the ticket stand. And he's like, if there's only some way I could be 2 places at once. And then he takes a look at the flyers and he's like, and he walks away from the ticket booth to copy himself on the copier. And he's like, I wonder if this was a good idea. Too late now. Because he's already copied himself. We get introduced to Tyrone. I mean, Dipper tries to call him number 2. But number 2 is like, no. But you know what I've always wanted to be called? Tyrone. And they share like a common bond because they've always wanted to be Tyrone.
They say it, which is kind of interesting foreshadowing later in this episode. We find out he's called Dipper. Right.
Yeah. But the copy clone is a perfect Dipper. Like, they're finishing each other's sentences, etc. Yada yada. Like, it's really good. It's kind of weird, honestly. Like, they even do the same movements and everything. But, there was like, alright, with you here, I could totally do my plan to talk with Wendy. It's gonna be great. It's like, you're gonna cover the ticket stand for me. And Tyrone's like, oh, I know the plan. I'm you. And he pulls out a perfect replica of Dipper's plan. And Dipper's like, we're not gonna like turn on each other like all the clones normally do. And Tyrone's like, come on, man, it's you. And besides, if I do that, you can always just disintegrate me with water. They're like, oh yeah. It's really good. But Tyrone does work the ticket stand for Dipper.
It's a great double act.
It is a great double act. Dipper finds Wendy and she's like, hey. He's like, hey, I found somebody to like cover the ticket stand. I'm ready to like party. And Wendy's like, oh cool, you can hang out with me and Robbie. And he's like, you remember Robbie from the convenience store, right? Or she says, hey, you remember Dipper from the convenience store, right, Robbie? And he's like, what? No. Check out my new guitar. And he plays like a riff on it. Which leads Dipper to have another fantasy where now Robbie is dancing with Wendy. And she's like, oh, Robbie, you're such a stupid, arrogant fraud. But kiss me anyway because you can play guitar. And she's like, oh, wait, I forgot something. And she walks away to just punch Dipper straight in his guts. Only to run away and say, let's get married tonight.
Yeah, as usual, Robbie is terrible.
Robbie is terrible. But Dipper gets a call on his cell phone that he's always had. Always
I
had.
think it's walkie-talkie.
I mean, the subtitle says cell phone rings. But
Either way.
Either way. But it's Tyrone, and he's like, hey, guy, I just had the same, jealousy fantasy. The Dipper's like, we gotta get Robbie away if I want to ever dance with Wendy. And Mabel's like, hey, Dipper, we're gonna go sit on the couch. Meet us when you're done. Which Robbie looks super smug. And Dipper's like, oh no, they're sitting on a couch. Think of something quick. It's like, and they look at Robbie's bike. And Dipper's like, I got an idea. And Tyrone's like, I got the same one. It's really good. Like, no, I don't believe any of the other Dippers, like, are quite on the same Dipper level as Tyrone.
Yeah.
But he's like, we're gonna need some help if we're gonna do it. So Dipper makes another clone. And he's like, and he calls him number 3, which number 3 is like, okay. And number 3 is like, you're gonna have me do this by myself? What if Robbie catches me? And Dipper's like, you know what? You got a point. Good point. This is a 4-Dipper plan. 4 Dippers. To which we get something terrible. The copier has a paper jam, and we get Paper Jam Dipper. He can't talk. He's all messed up. It's bad.
So, like, Paper Jam Dipper is legitimately horrifying. Like, this show doesn't really get that scary or disturbing most of the time. This is definitely one of those moments.
This is one of those moments. They try to feed him later, and they can't.
Yeah.
Even though he can open his mouth.
All he does is, like, shriek.
Yeah. Number 3 is like, oh, come on, you're not gonna pair me with that guy. To which Tyrone is like, don't be rude. It's like, hey, buddy, it's okay. But Dipper's like, I think I see your point. So they
Just like a good advice to Dipper, because he's like, he's like feels bad. He's not about Paper Jam Dipper. He's not like a dick to him.
Yeah.
Even like repulsed. He's like just genuinely
Tries to be nice.
He tries to be nice. He's like he's a good person.
Yeah.
Something like this. It's a lot of shows they just have the character be like horrified or like frightened.
Right.
Dipper's natural inclination is to be like kind.
Exactly. We cut to a scene of Pacifica doing karaoke, and she hits such a high note that it breaks a plastic cup. It shatters a plastic cup. It's really good.
Yeah.
She has a lot of good sight gags. And Grinda's like, I used to be able to sing like that before my voice changed.
Which I'm sure is feeling that many people can understand.
Absolutely. Grinda is trans feels.
Yeah.
Well, at least trans woman feels like. It's, she hits too close to home. But Pacifica's like, all right, try to beat that. Oh, and by the way, Grinda, you sound like a professional wrestler. Which Grinda says, I want to put her in her headlock and make her feel pain. It's perfect.
Grinda is great. I really do like Grinda.
Yeah. But Mabel jumps on stage and she's like, Zeus, give me the most 80th, crowd pleasingest, rock balladiest song you got. To which Zeus hits Don't Start Unbelieving, which is just a riff on Don't Stop Believing.
It's a legally distinct song.
It's a legally distinct song. It's like, don't start unbelieving, never don't not feel your feelings. It's really great. The crowd loves it. And Mabel's like, I want to do a flip. And she does not do a flip. But she's like, that was for you guys. Dipper comes to Zeus and says, he whispers into Zeus' ear, To which Zeus reports, hey, the owner of a red and silver mountain bike, it's being stolen, dude. And the two Dippers, 3 and 4, are riding away. And Dipper's like, oh, tough break. Wonder who those guys are who are not me, because I'm right here, as he's talking to Wendy. But, Zeus turns the jams down low to a slow dance. To which Wendy's like, oh, I love this song. She starts swaying back and forth. Mabel pulls Dipper to the side, or tries to talk to Dipper. Like, she's like, this is like the perfect chance to ask Wendy to dance. Go on, go do it. And Dipper is thinking about it. He's looking at his list. He's trying. He's walking real hard. But then he runs away. He's like, I'll be right back. And him and Tyrone are pacing in his room. And Tyrone's like, oh, I agree. You can't just go up and dance with her. And Dipper's like, yeah, right. It's like a minefield out there. And besides, Robbie might come back. Stan might get in the way. There's a bunch of variables. We need help. And so Dipper makes even more copies. Up to 10 Dippers. To which
that's like... That's, in total... That's... So, like, there's Dipper, and then there's 10 total clones, counting Paper Jam Dipper?
Yeah. But, They revise the plan. They make it bigger and longer. And Dipper's like, all right, now's the time. Everybody knows what to do. And they're like, yep. And they head out. It's kind of creepy when they head out because you just see their shadows marching down the hallway.
Yeah.
But number 10's like, hey, Zeus, look, a glowing dot. And he uses the laser pointer to distract Zeus. And Zeus is like, oh, man, I'm so glad I turned my head. This dot does not disappoint. He tries to catch it like a cat. It's pretty good. Number 10 uploads a Wendy mix into the CD player. Number 7 turns down the lights. Number 5 pulls the shades. And number 8 dangles a dollar bill in front of Stan using a fishing line, to which Stan's like, right, like I'm going to fall for that. And then he falls for it. It's really good. Number 6 rings a bell to let Dipper know that it's time to enact the plan. It's the perfect moment to ask Wendy to dance. And Tyrone's like, good luck, me. And Dipper's like, I don't need luck. I have a plan. But the plan is immediately derailed as he runs into Wendy in a hallway. She's not where she's supposed to be. And Dipper's like, oh, come on. Wouldn't you rather be on the dance floor in, like, I don't know, exactly 42 seconds? And Wendy's like, I'm just waiting for the bathroom. And Dipper's like, okay, small talk. And Wendy immediately opens up with, hey, so let's say everyone at this party gets stuck on a desert island. Who do you think the leader's going to be? And Dipper doesn't know how to answer until Wendy says, I think it's that guy. And it's like this older gentleman at this teens party who's just like punching the air and like going crazy. And she's like, I think it's that lunatic.
It's like a short, balding Asian guy with like sweaty armpits.
Sweaty armpits. Dipper laughs.
He's wearing like a slacks and a button-up t-shirt, button-up shirt too.
Yeah, it's real weird.
Never see him again. He's not like one of the standard background characters either.
No, it's real weird. Dipper laughs, puts away his plan, and then he points over to somebody else and says, I'd pick Stretch over there because tall people can reach coconuts. And we cut to another, like, somebody who just looks older than everybody else at this party, but at least he's not punching the air. So Wendy's like, oh, speaking of tall, you want to see something? And she pulls out a photo of her 3 brothers and herself, and she is way taller than they are. And Dipper's like, oh my god, you were a freak. And Wendy's like, yep, sure was. And Dipper's like, people used to make fun of me because of my birthmark before I started covering up. And Wendy's like, a birthmark? And he's like, oh no, it is nothing. And she's like, why did I even say that? But Wendy's like, no man, you have to show me. You just said something about it. To which Dipper takes a hard swig of his soda like it's alcohol. It's real good. And then he pulls back his hair to reveal that he has the Big Dipper on his forehead. And
It's like a birth.
It is a birthmark. Yeah.
Wendy has one of the best lines in the series after that.
Yeah, she's like, "That's how you got your nickname. I thought your parents just hated you or something."
One of my favorite lines from the series that I will always remember.
Yeah. She's like, "I guess we're both freaks." And they cheers their cups. So Pacific comes out of the bathroom, Wendy goes into the bathroom, and all the clones show up and it's like, what's going on here? 'Cause number 10 has been distracting Zeus for 15 minutes. He's not going to be distracted by that dot forever. He'll get tired of it eventually. To which we hear Zeus scream, "Never!" in the distance.
Fucking love Zeus.
I love Zeus. But Dipper's like, "Oh, you wouldn't believe it? I just ran into Wendy and we're just talking and things are going great." And Tyrone's like, "That's nice, but it's not the plan. Do we have to remind you of the plan?" And all of the clones pull out their version of the plan. And they're just like, "Oh yeah, the plan. And Dipper's like, "Oh man, you guys sound crazy. Look, maybe we don't need the plan anymore. Maybe we can just talk to her like a normal person." And all the clones are just upset. One of them shouts, "Bite your tongue." Number 5 says, "If you're not gonna stick to the plan, maybe you shouldn't be the Dipper to dance with Wendy." And all the clones are like, "Yeah, if you think about it, that makes sense." And Dipper's like, "Guys, come on. We said we're not going to turn on each other." To which Tyrone says, "I think we all knew we were lying." And so they grab Dipper and they drag him away. It's really good. They stick Dipper in a closet. And he's like, I can't breathe in here." And they're like, "Yeah, you can. You put in a coloring book and snacks for you."
Give Dipper one of those little cheese spread and cracker things. The little red plastic stick.
Yeah.
I fucking love those things as a kid.
Oh,
they were
great.
like,
They were the best. Dipper angrily eats it too. He's like, "No."
that's also one of those things that as an adult you can never go back and eat again because you realize how terrible because
It
will
tears
immediately
up your insides.
will destroy the magic. You will realize how shitty it is. You can just get, and also as an adult, you can just buy like a block of Velveeta and some crackers.
Yeah, absolutely. If you really want to. Tyrone's like, "Okay, so now that original Dipper or Dipper Classic is no longer fit for it, I nominate myself to dance with Wendy said since I've been around the longest, so it should be me." I mean, right? Logically, guys, logically. And number 10's like, "Fair point. Counterpoint, maybe I should get to dance with Wendy because I've been around her the least, To which number 5 is like, "That makes 0 sense. You make 0 sense," screams number 10. And they kind of have a little fight in between themselves as they shove. Paper Jam Dipper's like shouting because he's upset. To which Tyrone tries to feed him the crackers and he can't. It's so horrifying.
Because he's like kind of flat.
He's kind of flat. It's so weird. But Tyrone's like, "What would you do, guys, if you were trapped in a closet?" They're like, "Oh, we'd break out." And we got to the closet being open and Dipper being gone. Why didn't they lock it? I don't know. But Dipper's running down the stairs. He's like trying to find Wendy. But we get into a kind of a clone fight. Dipper tries to like reason with him. He's like, "Come on, we're all equals mentally and physically. So if you think about it, the fight would go on, for infinity if we started fighting." And all the clones are like, "Oh yeah, that's true. Maybe we should just like give up." They might actually be reasonable because Dipper at his core is a reasonable person. But before they can give up, Dipper punches Tyrone, which leads to a clone fight. Number 5 starts hitting Dipper. And he's like, "Quit hitting myself." They do a bunch of like girly kid fight stuff, like slapping stomachs, Indian burns. But Dipper tries to get away. He's taped a number 7 to his hat. And somebody's like, "Classic Dipper's trying to get away." He's like, "No, it's me." Number 7. And number 7's on the ground. He's like, that's not me, guys. That's not me. It's really good. The 7 falls off of Dipper's hat, and they're like, oh, okay, go get him, guys. Dipper says, stay back, and he pulls a party popper, and the minuscule smoke from the party popper activates the sprinklers in the Mystery Shack, which I'm surprised they're even up to code.
Well contrived, but nah.
Yeah.
Big deal.
But of course, because it's water...
Oh, ding.
Hmm?
Oh, ding.
But because it's water, all the clones melt. They're like, oh, boo, lame. This is lame. Paper Jam Dipper goes out, doing his normal screeches, but the subtitles for him go, this is a much better way for Paper Jam Dipper, or something like that.
It's better this way for Paper Jam Dipper.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad, but also kind of good.
Yeah.
It is better that way.
They're all groaning. The only clone that does not get hit by the water is Tyrone. And he's like, you! And Dipper's like, oh no. We cut to Mabel, and she's doing a version of the worm on the dance floor, dancing around. Zeus is like, one more song, and then we're going to decide who wins the party crown. It's going to be and he hits a key on his keyboard, and a bomb sound just goes off, and he's like, nailed it, because the whole night he's had trouble getting the right sound, which we find out in the end credits. But he's so happy with himself right now. And Mabel says, Pacifica, whoever wins, I just want to let you know that this has been a super fun party. And Pacifica's like, aw, it thinks it's gonna win. Like, because she's Mables Foil. It's like, hey, did you hear that? The people clapping for the weird girls? Yeah, me neither. And then she walks away. We cut back to Tyrone and Dipper fighting, to which Tyrone's like, tell me I could dance with Wendy. Dipper's like, never, but we hear Wendy laughing in the distance, and they both go check to see what's up. Robbie has returned, and he's chatting up Wendy, and he seems to be doing a pretty good job. And both Tyrone and Dipper realize that they blew it. And Tyrone's like, hey, I don't know, you want to go grab a couple sodas or something? We cut to the voting for the party crown. It's going to be done by a round of applause, and whoever gets the most applause wins. We start with Mabel's vote, and, she gets pretty decent applause. People are clapping for her. To which Zeus uses the applause-o-meter, which is just his arm, and he's like, oh, that was pretty good. And then he's like, oh, hey, let's cheer for Pacifica now, if she's going to win. And Pacifica basically mean dogs everybody until they clap for her, but it only leads to a tie with Mabel. George Zeus like, oh man, a tie that's like never happened before. Pacifica cheats. She uses money to wake up Old Man McGucket, which I don't know why Old Man McGucket is here. This is a party for teenagers. The youth. But Old Man McGucket wakes up because of the money, and he starts hooting and hollering like only Old Man McGucket can, which of course leads to Pacifica getting just a little more applause, which Zeus sadly announces that they have a winner, and it's Pacifica. Like, nobody likes this girl. Like, at all. Not even Zeus. He's supposed to be a impartial third party here, but he's like, maybe he just didn't want to see Mabel lose. Maybe that's it. That's probably it. But Pacifica's like, oh, wow, thanks everybody. Hey, everybody should come to the after party on my parents' boat. And everybody leaves.
But she calls Zeus Jorge.
She calls Zeus Jorge, which just adds to her terribleness. Like, I know she's going to grow as a person, but I did not like Pacifica when she was introduced.
No, I don't like her. I didn't like her as a person either. I just like the character.
Yeah.
this is a thing that I think people have a problem with nowadays. Is not being able to understand difference between liking character as
As a
character and liking the character as a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, like, especially I hate to be that guy, but like, especially like on Tumblr, there's like this whole of people who can't discern the difference between liking a character as like literary device,
Right.
liking a bad person. Tangent. Moving on.
Mabel says to Candy and Grinda, "Oh, sorry, I let you guys down." You know, she's very sad. She's like, "I understand if you want to leave," but Candy's like, "But then we would miss the sleepover." And Mabel's like, "What?" And Grinda's like, "We're gonna call our moms. We're gonna sleep over here because you're like a total rock star." And Candy pulls out a magazine with I guess a hot guy on it, and she's like, "I have Magazine Boys. It's really good." And Candy's like, "Maybe we don't have as many friends as Pacifica, but we have each other, and that's pretty good, I think." I want to say that the person who voices Candy is the same person who voices BMO in Adventure Time. I don't think I'm wrong about that. I'm not. Cool. Yeah.
I have trivia.
Cool deal.
We'll get to that in just a minute.
And Mabel's like, "Zeus, play another song. This thing's going all night." And Zeus like, "Way the hell of you," and he starts playing a song. They start dancing. We cut to Dipper and Tyrone on Wendy's like hideout spot, you know, staring up at the stars. And Dipper's like, "Do you think we ever really have a chance with Wendy? I mean, she's 15, we're 12. Tyrone's like, "Man, I don't know, but I sure hope so. But we're making zero progress the way we're doing it. The only time that you actually had a good conversation with her is when you stopped doing that list stuff." And Dipper's like, "I know. Mabel was right. I do get in my own way." Literally. They both say literally at the same time. Because Tyrone, of course, is the most Dipper of the clones. They cheers their sodas, and then they drink them, which is a bad move for Tyrone. Why would he do this? Because he immediately starts disintegrating from the inside out, which is kind of horrifying, to be honest.
It is. It's like slow.
It is super slow. Dipper's like,
Like,
"Oh
like
no!"
a hole melts in his like starts bubbling and melting out of his chest. It's just the word. It's terrible.
It is terrible. Dipper's like, "Tyrone," and Tyrone's like, "It's okay, dude. I had a good run. But remember what we talked about? You gotta quit being such a wimp around Wendy, okay? For my sake." And then he melts away. To which Dipper,
Justice for Tyrone.
yeah, just I don't know if I'm comfortable with that actually. But poor Tyrone. So Dipper does pour out his pit cola for Tyrone. Dipper heads back to the party. Grunkle stands out because he made up a lot of money. Wendy's still there for some reason. She hasn't left. At least Robbie's not there. But Dipper pulls out his plan, tears it up, and throws it away. Feeling better about himself, and he heads into the party. Mabel's like, "Hey, where have you been? Meet my new friends. I had a really good night." And that's how the episode ends. So, all in all, a really good episode.
Like it's really hard to pick favorites with this series unless an episode really just like hits you on a personal level. But this is definitely one of the in like the top.
Yeah.
One of the better episodes. This is definitely one of the better episodes. At least of the first season.
Absolutely. Totally agree. 100%. So good. Oh, apparently Alex Hirsch did the voice for Paper Jam Dipper. Which is great.
Let's see. Uh, uh, I did like Tyrone. I felt bad about Tyrone.
Yeah.
Hashtag justice thing. That's a meme from Stranger Things fandom.
Apparently, Tara Strong did additional voices in this episode, but it doesn't tell me who. So that's too bad.
Yeah. So we mentioned that Candy has the same voice as BMO, which is Nikki Yang, who's also a storyboard artist.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She's worked on a lot of things. She does do BMO on Adventure Time. She also did Lady Rainicorn on Adventure Time.
Ah, Lady Rainicorn, the dirtiest character in that show.
I'm sorry, what?
I said Lady Rainicorn, the dirtiest character in that show.
Yeah.
She's always saying something inappropriate. And she gets away with it because she's speaking in Korean. That is... anyway, sorry, go on.
Grenda is voiced by Carl Ferrulo, who is also a storyboard artist. But that's really his only voice acting thing, for the most part. Pacifica is voiced by Aki Buscarino, who has done a lot of stray voice acting here and there, but is a producer for Steven Universe and was a producer for every episode.
Ah.
And she also voiced Fidelia.
Nice.
Matriarch of the Onion family.
Yes, yes. Is it weird that Robbie is an asshole and he's voiced by an asshole?
I don't think it's a coincidence because that's kind of T.J. Miller's persona as a performer.
Yeah.
That's his brand.
That
Brand is
kind of
being
his brand.
Brand is being an asshole. He kind of always plays the same character. Like, how much difference is there between Robbie and Weasel from Deadpool?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, some series continuity that we'll find out later is that the clones number 3 and 4, who stole Robbie's bike, actually are still alive. They're still, out there in the world.
For them.
Neat.
But yeah, so this is one of the first episodes I saw, and it's really good.
Agreed. But I think that's all we have to talk to about the episode. I think we covered everything. And because of me, we're over an hour into this. Sorry, everyone. Thanks for listening to wrestling, though. We appreciate it. To get to the meat of this episode, you had to pass the wrestling giant. It's like a toll. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about this episode? You mentioned you had a bread story.
I have a history of experiences running afoul of a similar sort of person.
Ah. So not actually the bread guy, but just...
not actually the bread guy, but I'm going to use the term art community has its bread guys.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Everybody has their bat wings, I suppose.
And this guy has chosen me to be one of the people on his shit list. And he sent me messages about 9 a.m. today, about 5 a.m. today.
Okay.
And me, being a dumbass, because I forgot my my medicine. Nice. I'm a little bit manic, and I don't have the good sense to not engage with him. I just bickered with a schizophrenic all day on for Affinity.
Nice.
It was an experience.
So So, yeah. Hey, Doc. Where can people find you online if they want to talk to you about stuff, including Gravity Falls?
I am on Twitter way too much. I am Dr. Sea Monster on Twitter. That is at Sea Monster. Find me on Twitter where you can watch me have manic episodes and bicker with psychopaths.
Nice. You can find me, as always, on Twitter at DatFirePrince, it's spelled D-A-T. You can find me on my numerous podcasts that I do, although a lot of them are kind of like, I mean, with this pandemic, a lot of them are like, updating irregularly. That's just what it is. But you can find me on such podcasts as One Half Podcast, the podcast where me and my friend, World Eater Vib, watch every single episode of Rama One Half and talk about it. It's just this, but for Rama One Half. Doc Sea Monster and I do another podcast called Let's Pull the Trigger on a Podcast, where we talk about everything that Studio Trigger has ever done, piece by piece.
We're currently in the early episodes of Kill la Kill. And the next episode, we're on the 5th episode, I believe, and the fifth episode of the Kill la Kill. The episode of the podcast on the 5th episode of Kill la Kill will come out this weekend.
It should.
Upcoming week.
I mean, things happen.
It's happened.
You can just, I'm all over the internet. You'll find me if you really want to. Creeps. But until next time, remember.
Reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Bye, Gold. Bye!
Bye!
Found it.